Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today in this video, I'm going to show you how to properly clean your wheels and tires once you have them dismounted from the car. So if you're going to be doing a tire rotation, this is going to be the perfect time to take the wheels off, clean it all up, and then put everything back on. That way, when you put it back on, it all looks perfect and there's no dirt. So step one is obviously going to be remove the wheel and tire from the car. So to do that, you're going to have to jack the car up in the air and remove the 5 lug nuts or however many lug nuts you have that are holding the wheel on. So just grab your impact gun or a breaker bar and take each one of these off. There's one. There's 2. And you just keep doing this until all 5 of them are off. And then for the last one, you want to remove it by hand, because at this point you want to put pressure on the bottom of the wheel so that the wheel doesn't fall off. So once you have that like that, just grab your wheel and tire and pull it off the car. So with the wheel removed from the car, you can see that there's a lot of dirt on the wheel. Now the same thing goes for the tire. You can see that it's like kind of brown and you can see dirt around the entire thing. But the reason why we took the wheel off isn't because of the dirt that's on here. It's because of the dirt that's found on the inside part of the wheel. And if you can tell, this is disgusting. Take a look at the grime that's found on the back side of the wheel. So with it removed, we can clean all of this a lot easier, and we're gonna be able to make the wheel look 100%. So all of this is gonna be cleaned up, and once we're done, you're not gonna be able to see any dirt back here. So before we actually clean this filthy wheel, I'm gonna go over all the stuff that you're gonna need to properly clean this and then dress the tire. So first we're gonna go over some of the things that we need to clean the wheels and tires. So in this bucket right here, I've got it filled up with water, and I've got a couple brushes, wheel detailing brushes that are in here that I'm gonna be using to detail the wheel. Now depending on what style wheel you have, so like how many spokes or the configuration, how much room you have, you're gonna be using a different brush. And you're gonna be using whatever you need just to get it cleaned. Now once you have the barrel and any spokes cleaned, you're gonna wanna clean up any flat areas with a soft paintbrush like this. And this is a hog's hair brush, it's very soft. And make sure that if you have metal, like for a base right here, you wanna tape that off, because if you hit your rim, you don't wanna scratch it. Now moving down here, I've got my wheel cleaner inside my spray bottle. Now what wheel cleaner am I using? So right now I'm using a Meguiar's non-acid wheel and tire cleaner. And the reason why I'm using this is because my wheels and tires, they're dirty, but they're not dirty for a long time. So what I mean by that is the dirt hasn't sit on there and really embedded itself into the paint. So this stuff will easily clean up the wheels, so remove any brake dust or anything, and it's also gonna be able to clean up any dirt that's on the tires. Now that's very important because this makes my job very easy. I don't need to have 2 separate products to clean the wheels. Something else to note is that this stuff is safe to use on aluminum, alloy, any kind of painted or even non-painted wheel and tire. So if you're running a wheel that has bare aluminum, if you were to use, say, an acid-based wheel cleaner like Meguiar's Wheel Brightener, what it's gonna do is it's gonna react with it and you're gonna have to polish it afterwards. With a wheel cleaner like this, there's not gonna be anything that you have to do afterwards. All it is spray, agitate, rinse off, and you're done. Now if there's anything that's really stuck on the wheel, I'm gonna be using a little piece of clay, and I'm gonna get into that a little bit more later, but you're gonna use a clay bar to remove any stuck on contaminants that are clinging onto the wheel. Now moving down, when we come right here, we have a couple dressings for the tire, and what this is gonna do is it's either gonna make the tire like a nice natural rubber shine, or it's gonna make it look very glossy. It all depends on which product you use and how much of it you apply on the tire. Now, I've got a water-based dressing and a solvent-based dressing right here. Now, both of these, they both have their pros and cons, but I'll get into that later when I dress the tire. And the same thing kind of goes for when we're gonna be detailing the rim. So once it's all clean and dried up, we wanna put a coating on it to prevent it from getting dirty easily. So I've got a ceramic coating right here, and I've got a paint sealant right here. You can use either or, they're both gonna give you fantastic results, but the difference between these two is that one of them is either gonna last longer than the other. Now in this case, the ceramic coating is a little bit more expensive than the jet seal that I have right here, but both will do the trick. Now finally, I've got some applicators right here. So if I actually separated them, so if I'm using a solvent-based dressing, I use the top one. If I'm using a water-based dressing, I'll use the one that's in here. But that's enough talking for now. Let's get right into the detailing. So we're gonna begin by spraying down the entire wheel with a little bit of water. So I've just got my hose and nozzle right here, and just little once over like that, just to get everything wet. Then at that point, you can start off with whatever you like. I like working on the back side of the wheel first. Now you can spray down your product onto the entire wheel, like that, and then you can agitate it with a paintbrush. Now I like spraying a little bit into my brush like that, and then go to town and agitate everything until it's all clean. Now this method will work perfect for you 100%. Now it all depends on how dirty your wheels and tires are. So like if they're super dirty, you might have to hit them a couple times with the wheel cleaner and a brush in order to get them to 100% condition. So like I'm just gonna wash that little area down. See how much cleaner that is already? You're just gonna repeat that exact same process to the entire wheel until it's completely clean. Now you can go ahead, if you want, with a wheel brush like this, where it's gonna cover a lot of surface area. Get it like that, and just agitate the entire thing. Like this, you can clean up the entire barrel in a matter of seconds. Just like that. Then at this point, the only thing you really have to focus on from the backside is gonna be the spokes and the hub area. And to do that, I'm gonna be using my paintbrush again, spray it inside of here, and agitate each one of the spokes' brake dust that's stuck on there until it looks perfect. And once you have it like that, get your hose and spray it down. So at this point, there shouldn't be any brake dust still left on the wheel, but you might have a couple things like this. Now these are like little tiny bits of tar that have like adhered to the wheel after driving. And if you drive your car hard, you're gonna see a little bit of this stuff. And as you can see, you can find it basically everywhere. And to get rid of all of that, we're gonna be using our clay bar. Now for the clay bar kit, whatever clay that you use, make sure that you separate it from the clay that you're gonna be using if you use it on your paint. So what I mean by that is that if you're gonna be using a clay bar, you know, and you use it on your car, you get rid of all the imperfections that are stuck on there, make sure that you don't use this same clay bar kit that you use on your wheels back on the car, because there's a lot more harsh contaminants that are on the wheel, and if you reintroduce those onto the car, your paint is gonna get scratched and you're gonna see a lot of marring. So make sure that whatever clay you use for your wheels, you keep it specifically for your wheels and tires. So to do this, to clay the entire wheel, I'm gonna grab my wheel cleaner again and just spray a little coating on here. Same within my hands. And I'm gonna go over the entire wheel and remove all these imperfections. So you just glide it over the paint, like that. And then when the pieces come up, you grab your clay bar, first you clean it, you grab it, you pick it up, you fold it, you twist it, and you want a clean side with every single time you swipe. So if you notice that this side of the clay is getting really dirty, switch it over, flip it up, spin it out until you get it clean. See how this little piece just got picked up? So at that point, if you can, flick it off. And it's still dirty. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to twist it, fold it, flatten it out until you get a clean side to use. So you just continue this process until the entire wheel is contaminant free. Once you're satisfied with the results, you can then grab your hose and rinse everything down. So once the wheel is completely cleaned up and imperfection free, you're then gonna grab your hose, do a quick spray over it, and then grab your wheel and tire cleaner again, and you're gonna spray it on the outside perimeter of the tire. And that's gonna remove any browning, any dirt, or anything else that's stuck on the wheel, or actually should I say tire. And because it's a wheel and tire cleaner, it's safe for both. Look at the dirt that it's picking up right there. Oh, it's disgusting. So the reason why the wheel turns brown is because when the tire is made, it uses about 8 quarts of oil, like engine oil, like something very similar to that. And when it compresses, when the tire flexes, when you put pressure on it, you know, with a 30 whatever PSI in the tire, when you drive it and everything, those oils will start to come out. And that's what you're seeing on the top layer of the tire. So with a wheel and tire cleaner, an all-purpose cleaner, a degreaser, or whatever, it's gonna take care of all of that and remove it. Okay, so see all that foam? Once you spray it down, it's gonna be clean. Now it all depends on how dirty your tires are, because if they're super brown, you might have to go over it a couple times with this product. But even still, it does a great job of cleaning up the wheel and tire safely. So once you've got the backside and the barrel all cleaned up, we're gonna grab our wheel, we're gonna spin it around, and then we're gonna clean up the face of the wheel. And we're gonna clean this up in the exact same way that we cleaned up the rear. So we're gonna grab one of our brushes, like this. We're gonna spray some product on it, and we're gonna spray some product on our rim. So with this, you're just gonna go in each one of the little cracks and get any dirt that's still on there. Now again, if your wheels are super dirty, you might have to go in a couple times with this product just to clean it all up. But after you clean them once, you shouldn't ever have to go over them a couple times unless they're really neglected. Now something to consider too is that when you're cleaning up your wheels, make sure that the product does not dry on the wheel or tire. So if it does dry, just spray a little bit more, agitate it, and then you're gonna be okay. And you can see how easy this actually is. So spray down the whole thing. Any flat surfaces you're gonna wanna hit with your paintbrush. And it's very important that you get a nice soft bristle paintbrush, because if it's aggressive, you might actually scratch the wheel. So just do a once over of everything, including the tire. And then grab your hose and spray this all down. Now I'm gonna have a link in the description box for everything that I'm using today, so if you wanna find something, if you wanna pick one of the products that I'm using up today, you can find them in the description box down below. But as you can tell, the wheel is perfectly clean. I'll grab the camera and bring it in and show you guys how nice it actually is. So disregarding the water that's still on the wheel and tire, you can see that there's no brake dust. And that's great, that's what we want. There's no brake dust, the tire isn't brown, and the wheel looks fantastic. So at this point, we're gonna dry this up, and then we're gonna put a coating on both the wheel and the tire to prevent it from getting dirty again. Now, if you have access to compressed air or a leaf blower or anything else, you're gonna be ahead. And the reason being is that because you're not gonna be actually touching the wheel with this, you don't have the chance of scratching. So just clean up and dry off the entire tire and wheel. Now that the wheel is perfectly clean, we want to put a coating on the rim to make it so that any dirt, water, or anything else will simply bead off once it gets dirty. Now it's not going to make it so it stays clean 100%, but it's going to make the cleaning down the road a lot easier. So you can use any kind of paint sealant or wax that you'd like. So I've got Jet Seal 109 from Chemical Guys. I have Meguiar's M21, well, from Meguiar's. And I have right here Sea Quartz, and this is a ceramic coating. Now just for easiness sake, I'm going to be using the Jet Seal 109. I'm going to be putting this on an applicator. And make sure that when you use this stuff, you apply it to both the face of the wheel, but more importantly, you apply it to the barrel of the wheel. And the reason why this is so important is because this is where all the dirt is going to get hit. So anything that comes off your brakes is going to come straight down onto your rim. Now if you remember before, when we were using the clay bar, we were using that to remove any stuck-on contaminants that were on the rim. Now when you apply this stuff, it's going to make it so that any of those contaminants, they're going to have to be much more aggressive in order to stick to the wheel. So down the road, hopefully, if everything goes well, what's going to happen is if any of those particles hit the rim, they're just going to bounce off. So just go ahead and apply all of this and rub it in to the barrel, the face, and even the backside of the spokes. Now once you let that happen, you're going to let it sit for 15 minutes. We're going to come back and then we're going to buff this all off with a microfiber towel. This is going to be slightly difficult to tell only because of the color of the rim, but once you let the paint sealant haze up, when you grab a microfiber and you buff it off, you should be able to see a difference between where's clean and nice and shiny and where still has sealant on it. I don't know how well the camera is picking it up, but in person you can definitely tell. And then just grab your microfiber towel, buff off the entire wheel, and then you're going to be on your ways. So now that the wheel is completely buffed off of any sealant, we now need to take care of the tire. So we've already gone ahead and cleaned it up, but now we just need to put a coat of dressing on the entire thing. Now, the easiest way that I like to do this is not to do it now. I like to do it when the wheel is mounted on the car. So once you have the wheel cleaned up, just get it and mount it up onto the hub. So lift it up and thread everything on. So once you put all 5 lug nuts on here, you're gonna then grab your tire applicator with some dressing and coat it on the entire thing. Now the reason why I like doing it when it's on here is that because you can spin the wheel freely, and also when the car is on the ground, you can't really get this bottom part of the wheel that well. So with it like this, you can simply spin it any direction you want and you can get the entire thing coated in the dressing. So you can use either a solvent-based or a water-based tire dressing. Now the reason why I'm going with a water-based tire dressing is because this stuff is easy to apply, there's no sling, and once you put it on, it doesn't make a very shiny finish to it. So what I mean by that is, once you put it on, you apply it on here, and then you come back in 2 minutes, once you've applied this, and you just buff off any excess. Now what that's gonna do is it's gonna make the tire look like it's a brand new tire, but not make it very shiny. Shiny isn't ever really good. I don't like it that much. If you guys like it, that's completely up to you, but if you ask me, I like just a nice, rich, healthy looking tire. And if you ask me, that's what this stuff does perfectly. See that? And if you want, you can even get on the inside part of the rim protector. So, slide it up in there. And then once you put this on the ground, the tire is gonna look perfect. Because we put a little dressing on the inside part, so as soon as we drive, if there's any dirt that's gonna come up to here, it's gonna go only up to where we need, and everything past that is gonna have tire dressing on it. So if you want, you can leave it like this, or afterwards you can come back with a towel and just buff off any excess. And I really like how this stuff does not sling onto the paint. So when you take any excess off, it just looks healthy, doesn't move, and you don't see any splatter marks all over each fender. Make sure that after you jack the car in the air and put it back down onto the ground, make sure that you properly torque up your wheels to make sure that they don't fall off when you drive. With the car on the ground, you can see how nice the wheels and tires look. And as you can tell, they look perfect. Now I'll be including in the description box a link for all the stuff that I used today, so if you want to pick something up, check it out down there. I'll most likely have it for you. If you haven't checked out my Instagram yet, make sure to follow it. I put out stuff every day, including little hints to what's going to be coming up in future videos. If you guys have any questions regarding the video, throw them down in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to help. Again guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Because we put a little dressing on the inside part, so as soon as we drive